Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're actually playing Dreams for the first time on YouTube because the NDA has been lifted for the beta that I've been in for the past month or month and a half. I'm not sure how long it's been, but it's been a long time. I did some recordings here. These are actually pre-recorded and I'm talking over them just because I was recording on the PlayStation and the mic quality isn't great on there. So I'm on PC right now and recording over it. So here we go. So this is going to be your home space, which is like your pod from the big planet. Very similar in terms of what you can do in it. It's basically your place where you can hang out and customize. It's a lot of fun. I actually like it quite a bit. No one has actually took advantage of it, the tools that they give you to customize just yet, because it doesn't seem like you can do too much at the moment. Right now you'll be able to see me grabbing objects and moving them around, but that's pretty much the extent of what you can do inside this mode. You can't actually create objects. You can spawn ones that you've earned from the Media Molecules storyline or tutorials, of which I got these objects like this flower. You can place it down, play with it, and that's about it. So it's not too much you could do in here, and it doesn't seem like, why would you hang out in here? It's not quite like the pod, and I'm not too sure why. There's not like a controller you have to control to go to levels and stuff, so it's kind of just a place to hang out. There's no real reason for it. Hopefully when multiplayer is added, you can add your friends there and have some fun. So this is more like the main menu. You have all your options here. You have your username, you have dream surfing, which is level searching. You have dream shaping, which is creating and also searching for certain objects. And then the community jam, which allows you to enter contest. This is my profile. It's not much going on, but you kind of get an idea. It's got all your name, all your description, all that good stuff. If we head into my creations here, we can start something new, and you're able to see all the new and fancy options you can create. You can make a game scene, which could just be a level, a story scene, which could be a video or some kind of cutscene, a showcase, which could be just a very high modeled object, which you could do this in any level, but it allows you to quickly shortcut them into these few options here. A character, like if you want to make a crab who walks around or whatever. Sculpture, which is just like a showcase in a way. You just make something real nice, real fancy. Contraptions could be anything from bounce pads, checkpoints, you name it. Music people create from scratch, pretty amazing. Sound effects is like the coolest one. You're able to actually record sounds in the real world and then import them into Dreams, which I think is amazing. Instruments work the same way. You can import them. Any sound you import, you can make into an instrument, which is pretty freaking cool. And people have already done it, and I like it a lot. Vehicles, pretty self-explanatory. You can make cars and with realistic physics and all that good stuff. I think it's pretty cool. Animations can be linked to anything, so like it's showing two characters here. You can actually animate how they run, doing backflips, kicking, whatever it is, and then put it up on the online for people to use. Effects could be fireworks, smoke, fire effects, water, could be anything. And then a dream, which is basically a hub where all your other dreams can sit, so you can make one entitled game. You can link them all together within this mode, which is very cool. But I'm not going to be playing this right now, so I'm going to go and back out. We're going to go ahead and open the game scene here so that we can just start editing something straight off the bat. And you don't have to actually pick game scene to make a game scene. You could pick music if you wanted to. They're only served as shortcuts and not limitations. Here I am just moving around an object, can kind of give you a feel. And I'm actually controlling everything with my gyro inside of my controller, which I thought is pretty cool. It does take a long time to get used to. Well, not a long time, but a good short while. And you'll get the hang of it. It is odd, but it's actually very intuitive and very fast once you get the hang of it. Here I am just duplicating a whole bunch of stuff just to kind of show you what you can do. I don't even hit near any limits when I do this. You can just keep duplicating and duplicating for what seems like in for what seems like forever, which is freaking amazing. Right now they're at like a medium to high texture quality in terms they are still rectangled, and they kind of look like polygons. But if we head over here to the best tool ever, which is sculptor detail, you can actually change the detail of any object at any which time. Since these are all the same, it's going to group them together as one. And here I just lowered the quality, and so now it kind of looks like a fuzzy looking whatever it is, which is pretty cool. And it allows you to place billions of those things, or thousands I should say, without hurting the thermometer too much. Here I am just making something from scratch here, choosing a color, choosing a shape, and placing it down once I find something I like. So once I place it down, I have many options here, but I'm going to play with the stretch tool. Just like Unity or any 3D program you've used, it's pretty much the same thing. You just grab an object and stretch it out. Pretty cool, probably one of the most used tools for me at least. It's very handy for creating buildings and just about anything, just walls, whatever it is. It's handy a lot, and I think it uses less thermal than having an entirely new object spawned again. So just stretching out one piece does help quite a bit. I'm just gonna make a little house here with a window, or a little scene with a little window here, just to kind of show you the lighting and how the shadows work and all that stuff. It's very cool. Quality is actually pretty dang good. I'm pretty surprised. You can tweak with that. You can tweak how good they look and how soft the shadows look, which I think is pretty cool. If we go over to our tools and head to the sun tool, sun and sky, we're actually able to move the sun directly, which I think is the coolest thing in the freaking world. This also affects all the shadows in the world, but it doesn't have to. You can actually disable shadows from the sun itself or from individual objects. Like if you want that wall to not cast shadows but everything else to, you could totally do that, which is really cool. Here I am just messing with the settings here. You can actually change how the sky looks. Because I use flex, it uses less data than a skybox would. At least that's what I believe. So you're able to change the sky, and I've actually chosen my favorite one here, which is the softest one in my opinion. It looks pretty nice. Here I am putting in a light into the scene, just to kind of show you again the shadows and how well they can look and how dynamic they are, which is awesome. I'm actually going to go ahead and go to the recording section and add a action recorder, which basically allows you to animate anything in the scene dynamically and pretty amazingly. Here I am just moving the light to the side here, and I'm going to play it real quick because that was it. I recorded it. Now I'm going to look what I did, and now that light is going to continue on to do that forever unless I wire it up in some way. But you kind of get the idea. You're able to make dynamic lights such as that. Here I am just painting, trying to write hello horribly, messing up with my L's and O's. And this tool is extremely helpful. It was one of the tools I used for making windows and such, because you actually can't make normal objects see-through. You can't change their opacity. The only way you could do it is using a paint tool such as this, and so I ended up using this to make windows, which I think was pretty cool. Grade and Effect is my favorite tool of all time. It has everything possible. It has everything you'll need to make an actual game, which I think is super cool. Your saturation, contrast, and brightness, very essential to games because people don't all have the same settings on their TV. So you're actually able to make a settings within your game that players were forced to change their brightness and settings to match an image on the screen of your game, just like a real game does when you launch the game for the first time, and it tells you to adjust your brightness, which is pretty cool because all these things can actually be adjusted in real time within the game and animated. You have things like bloom, lens flares. I mean, you have everything. It's amazing. I love it so much. It's spectacular. I'm really surprised you're able to do all this. Gain, just to ruin the YouTube video and make it all blurry. sharpen and blur, which is the coolest thing ever. I don't see a difference when it's sharpened, but I do see it when it's blurred, and that's really cool. Motion blur is actually able to be turned off. That's good, at least for me. Camera movement blur, which is, look at that. Which is, it's pretty cool. This actually distorts the screen. You could make it look like some weird trippy dream or something if you wanted to, which I think is pretty neat. We also have the fun screen effects like pixelation and scan lines and blur and all that fun glitchy stuff. I really like it a lot. I think it adds a lot to the game. It allows you to add very cool effects. Say you take damage from something, you're able to simulate that on the screen so a player can see without having to resort to like a health bar. You can actually make it physically show it on screen on the camera, which is really cool. Like I said, everything could be adjusted. So here I am animating the bars here. Just so the brightness fluctuates with the lighting animation. You can actually put as many as you want within one animator, which is really cool. As you can see, as the light goes, the lighting of the scene actually is fluctuating. Very cool, something that will be very useful in the long run. Here I am looking at all the different material types that you can use. And it's more of a shader, if anything, like shiny materials versus rough materials. So I'm going to add a shiny metal here, switch to the plus instead of the minus, and apply it to the ground. And so all of a sudden, this floor is a shiny metal glossy looking thing, which is really cool. And you can use that to make railings or, whatever shiny metal things are made out of. And there's a whole bunch of different kinds. I'm going to use a typical shiny and actually make this ground into a very poor water look. I've seen very amazing ones on the community. This is just a very quick mock-up of what you can do, but I am going to make some water here by changing the quality of the ground to a lower quality, which makes it look more of a water-like look. And you could kind of see that if you look closely, it's all squares. I actually do change this later, but I don't show it. You can actually go into the object's properties and change the fleck type, which is what you're seeing. Those squares are flecks. If you change it to like circles, then it will look, more like water or like lines. You could see it now. It's actually different. It looks like lines, I guess you could say, or strokes, which is pretty cool. And so now it looks more of a water, and you'll be able to see that more as I go on. Here I am just playing a basic puppet, which allows you to control a character. He's already animated and all that good stuff. It's actually procedurally animated, so you can change that and animate yourself, although I haven't seen anyone do it yet. Something cool about these guys is you can actually jump in immediately, like on his head, and start editing every single asset, like his eyes, his mouth, his throat, whatever it is. You can edit it, and then boom, now you have this crazy head on your character, which is cool. Some other stuff I want to have a look at is the music mode, which allows you to actually look up for sound effects, for songs, and for sound effect tweakers, which is that last one there. If we actually go into sound effects, you'll see the first one is the oof sound from Roblox, the very popular meme that someone has actually imported in the game. There's other ones from PT, that horror game, that Silent Hill, that was never released, sadly, but someone had actually imported the sound, and it's as crisp as it was in the actual game PT, which is amazing. It's something that I love.
As the congressional debate over gun control flares up yet again, we regret to report the murder of a wife and her 2 children by their husband and father.
Yeah, that's pretty depressing. But you kind of get the idea. That's pretty cool. This menu I'll go back into in a moment. But if we head back to sound mode and go back into finding sound effects, you could just kind of get an idea. There's all these sounds that people have recorded or imported through the website. which is pretty awesome, and it allows you to make truly your own custom game with your own custom sounds. Because as far as I'm aware, you don't have to release these publicly. You can just keep it inside of your level or your dream, which I have done with some of my creations that I'll be showing. Instruments, these are the instruments that Media Molecule have made, at least some of them, which is really cool. And you actually make these from scratch. You can import sounds and then tweak them to turn into instruments. If we head up here to the search bar, this is actually searching the community and everything that has been released publicly. Someone made this amazing T-Rex, which it's pretty great. It's a little clunky looking. I'll kind of explain why that is. But yeah, someone had made this and I'm able to place it into my scene because it's released to the public, so players are allowed to play with it. And it just kind of goes on forever. There's thousands of creations that have been released. Some good, some bad, some amazing. It's spectacular. You can see when I zoom in here, I can actually tweak the T-Rex here because it has been puppeteered, meaning you can control it. If I went ahead and undo it and put the platform down, I can actually become the T-Rex and play around. Pretty cool. But the reason he looks kind of like clay is because you gotta love that. Look at these animations. It's beautiful. But the reason he looks like clay is because of how Dreams does modeling, at least on characters. If you want a part to move, it has to be a separate part. But unfortunately, you can't blend two separate parts. They need to be within the same creation for them to blend together, like skin, how your skin blends together. Like it doesn't look all jaggedy like that. So unfortunately, you're forced to create things such as that, which is fine, I suppose, but it can look a certain way. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I've been working on. This is PlayStation Home. Yes, PlayStation Home from the PS3. I've tried to recreate it, at least some of the locations. If we hit play here, this is public. You can play it if you're in the beta. It has just over 12,000 plays right now. Pretty proud of that. Here's Central Harbor Studio, or Harbor Studio, my bad. Pretty cool. I've recreated the HUD for how PlayStation Home looked, at least in some fashion. I've made it so that you could sit down on these, and this is very early logic. This is the very first thing I've made. You can move the sofa, which is pretty cool. It moves just like it did in PlayStation Home, although the controls are a little wonky right now. You can move just about anything in here, at least the couches and the table here. Pretty cool. It has physics. That's pretty awesome. If we look over here, there's actually glass on the wall. If I'm not mistaken, I was one, if not the first person to make glass within this game, and I did it in such a method. I used the paint tool because, again, the paint tool allows you to add opacity. And so I slightly painted roughly windows and tried my best to do so. And that is just one of the few methods that you could use for windows. If we actually leave the studio, we actually go down to Central Plaza. The one place everyone remembers. At least I tried to recreate the good one, the one that everyone loved before they changed it. I tried to do one-to-one as best as I could. These apartments are pretty close to the real thing. You could actually look up YouTube tours of the locations to kind of compare it to my recreation. It's not perfect, but I tried my best. If we head down here to the little dance floor area, I tried my best to recreate it. There's actually music that plays when you're near, and you can kind of hear it there. There we go. It's a little party now. It's very cool. There's no detail in this level, as you can see. There's no colors. There's nothing. It's a very bland recreation, which is pretty cool. And the reason mostly for that is because I thought I was under a much lower time frame than I did, because the beta had recently been extended, and that didn't happen until I published these. And so after that point, I kind of just stopped and started working on other projects. But on the left was the bowling alley. Here is the theater, and on the right is the mall. neither of which are modeled in the inside just yet. But I tried to recreate the mall. The mall's probably the most accurate one here. Pretty cool. The little lounging area people used to hang out in. But as you can see, it's missing quite a few. A lot of benches are gone. The game is gone. All the colors are not here, etc. But if we head over to the bowling alley, which I have modeled, it's not perfect, but it actually is colored, and that's the only one that has been colored. So let's go ahead and head in here and check it out. So here I am in the bowling alley. The entrance is pretty much one-to-one. You can actually look it up, or maybe I'll just send a picture. We'll find out. But anyway, this is the entrance to the bowling alley. You can leave back to Central Plaza. If you come on in, the lighting is a bit off. It looks like fog in a way. That's something I haven't touched recently. I just said it here. I haven't played with this in a while. This again is like early first stuff I ever made. If we go down here, the arcade room, pretty cool. If you remember Icebreakers, one of the games you could play here, it was a lot of fun. I liked it a lot, and I would love to recreate it if I could. The bowling alley itself, the bowling lanes, which is pretty cool. I have modeled or programmed bowling. Very simple bowling. I have not updated it since. I do have a friend who is attempting to fix it for me, which is really awesome, but I'm not showing it at the moment. This is the published version that you can play. But yeah, you can control everything. Press triangle to sit back up the pins, press X to just throw a ball, and you can just spam X if you wanted to, and it would just keep placing it, which is pretty funny. But it's the most basic bowling I have ever done in my life, but it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's the bowling alley, and I think it's pretty cool. Something really cool is when I'm actually entering these places, like when I just entered the bowling alley from the Central Plaza, it's actually loading an entirely new level that fast. And it's not using my hard drive. It's not using the save on my hard drive. It's using the internet. So the faster your internet is, the faster the loading will be, which is really cool. But you can see I'm back into the world, and it's actually a different world right now. We're in a different level right now, and it took like less than a second or something to come here, which is amazing. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that's one of the levels I've been working on. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback for it, and I thank you very much for appreciating it. This is one of the assets I've made for the level. It's a bowling pin. It's not released publicly. All the stuff that's in this level is private, just for no actual reason. Here's a standard bowling ball, nothing fancy, no textures, just a color. Pretty cool. It has a nice shine to it. The arcade machine, the TV, some behind the scenes stuff, the harbor, and so on. It's pretty cool. Yeah, you can kind of see how it all works. I have updates, comments, activities. These are all the versions that have been released. The newest one there on the left was from a buddy of mine who is now working on it with me. I haven't seen it yet, but I can actually go back to previous versions and play them. And this is like one of the first versions before it was released publicly. But I'm able to actually go back in time and work on them, which is amazing, and then publish these versions if they worked out better. Really cool. Continuing on, you can see more of the assets that I've created. This little side table I have created and made again privately, but you can see it's pretty one-to-one to the actual thing on PlayStation Home. You can look it up. Pretty cool. I tried to make it as close as I could. It doesn't have too much detail, although it is high quality. And that also goes with the sofa and the table and the lamp and all that other good stuff. But that's about it. That's about all the awesome creations I've made that you can actually play. This is just something I've played with that is actually private. It's not something I've released, and probably not something I'm going to be keeping. But it kind of gives you an idea. Here's like a little space ship in some way. Actually was inspired by Disarmed, because he had made something like this. I don't think he's published it though. and I just was like, oh yeah, I would love to make a space game because I've always wanted to. I made a really in-depth one in Little Big Planet, but I never ended up publishing it, just for personal reasons. It just never finished it really. But yeah, you can kind of get an idea that you can make these massive space simulators and everything. It's pretty cool. The last one I'm going to show you here is my Escape from Tarkov recreation. It's not much right now. I just kind of have a menu and a character menu. If we hit to character here, we can actually play with our inventory. It's very advanced, as you can read on the right. It's not done at all, but you kind of get an idea of what you can do. Don't know if you've seen Escape from Tarkov, but I might put a picture here for you to compare. You choose your character, which is player-made character, PMC. Factory, which is a map. You press ready, and it goes to the loading screen, which is not done. It doesn't do anything. It just loads and then gives you a little message at the end talking about it. But yeah, I think that's about it for my creations. I don't think I show anything else. I do have other creations in the works right now that I won't be showing at the moment. And here we go. We're actually leveling up. Forgot about this part, which is pretty cool. I'm level 41 now, which is decently high. It does take a little while to level up. You level up by doing different things like creating or playing games or art or animation, audio, whatever it is. You actually start ranking up from doing those things, which I think is really cool because it shows people what you're good at or what you're passionate about. Not necessarily what you're good at, because someone could be in design and be level 50 all design, but create, not the best looking things. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're good at it, but that they spend most of their time, if not all of their time, doing it, which is pretty cool. I still like it. It's very neat. You can look at their creators and stuff like that and see what they've made to compare it to. Here's the little quest that you can do. You can actually unlock new imps by doing things. Pretty cool. My home is the pod, essentially. Who I'm following, how many followers I have, description, your number, you customize your imp, which you can't do at the moment. You can just change it. Notifications, which is pretty cool. Lots of notifications. I always log on with a whole bunch of them, and it's always because of PlayStation Home. Which is cool. I really like it. I get a lot of positive feedback for it, and I appreciate it. If you would like to help in this project, I'd really appreciate for someone to come on in. We're going to play some community levels here. PT, someone had recreated, which is pretty amazing. It doesn't do much right now. It's more of a, hey, look at what I recreated. It doesn't actually work. But here we are in that iconic room. I don't know if you've ever played PT, but it started like this. For whatever reason, the creator made it a separate level for the actual hallway. You can see on the bottom left that it's loading. And that is my connection. That is not the PlayStation's data. My connection's on Wi-Fi, and I have the worst Wi-Fi in the whole universe. And so it takes me a little while. If I was on Ethernet, it'd be instant. Here we are in the PT universe. Someone else has made this. I did not make this. But it's pretty amazing. You can actually hear the sounds just like from PT. I'll go ahead and let you listen.
The crime, the father went to the trunk of his car, retrieved the rifle, and shot his wife as she was cleaning up the kitchen after lunch. When his 10-year-old son came
It's
to investigate,
pretty depressing game, but I mean, that's amazing. He has the swinging of the lamp sounds. He has the radio going, which is amazing. It's actually directional sound, so you hear it from where you're at. Very cool. Goes to the next level. I guess the picture frame falls. I don't remember that happening, but that's fine. Doesn't matter. Very cool. The time, everything. We're going again. If you ever never played PT, it basically was a loop. A loop of a hallway over and over again and progressively getting worse. It was much more detailed than how I just described it, but it just gives you an idea of what's going on here. Very cool. Goes around, walks around. Very creepy. But yeah, that's about it. I think the level stops here once I go to the door. It doesn't allow me to continue. I think I'll walk around a little more. But yeah, that's about it. You can kind of see other creations and just browse and have some fun. But that's Dreams, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my video. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I know it's a little I don't know if this was fast-paced or anything, or a little too long. It's about 20 minutes, I think. But I really appreciate you guys dropping by and watching this. I really hope that you guys had fun playing the beta. I did a lot. It ends on Monday, the 4th, I believe it is, of February, which is so sad. Media Marco, allow me to pre-order right now so that I could play the beta until release, please. Because I would in a heartbeat. I really appreciate everyone watching the video and checking out my levels. I appreciate a lot. There's a lot of positive feedback that I usually don't get, and it's actually really nice to see. So again, thank you guys so much, and have a good one. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you liked my content. Like the video if you did. Dislike if you didn't. I do have a Discord. It's going to be linked in the Discord. It's gonna be linked in the description below. It's just a gaming Discord. You don't have to be fancy or anything to join. Just go ahead and join. Anyone's allowed. So yeah, thanks guys, billions. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. Bye bye.